What are some study tips that you can share with everyone that helped you for the February 2023 exam?
I think the biggest study tip is everybody's journey here is going to be a little bit different. Just because a resource works for somebody else, it's not necessarily going to work for you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mind Over Legal Matter, where we approach Florida bar essays one mindful step at a time. Today, we have another guest here to share his experience studying for the Florida bar exam, Mr. Trevor, who just took the February 2023 Florida bar exam and is here to share his experience with you because he wants to pay it forward to all of you out there who dream about becoming an attorney. So let's get started. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Trevor, 30 years old, born and raised in Kissimmee, Florida, and now I have the privilege of serving as a public defender in the Central Florida area.
Yay! I used to be a public defender too. So thank you for doing the public defender work. It is hard, but it is awesome. And you learn a lot about your constitutional rights and all that stuff. Talk to me. Let's get right to it. Talk to me about how many times have you taken the bar exam and tell us your story. Like, how did you study for it? How was that experience?
Well, I've taken the bar exam 4 times now. 4th time's the charm, I guess. The first time I took the bar exam, I came fresh out of law school, went the big box Kaplan route. Didn't end up finishing the whole program, probably got about 94% through, and can honestly say I remember about 5% of it. I remember just feeling overwhelmed with information the whole time. And the second time, I thought I figured it out. I said, okay, I didn't remember much of that. Let's see if I can teach myself it. I definitely remembered more teaching myself, but realized after that real quick, I probably need a little more guidance than just going through the black letter law with myself. The third time I used a tutor, was really helpful. Went in feeling a lot more prepared than I had before, but came out of it pretty much calling my mom and saying, I didn't recognize any of those questions.
Yeah.
And then the 4th time with you, obviously, and it was great.
Awesome. How did you feel during that journey? Because you did it the first time and the second time, and then especially after the third time,
Oh, yeah.
that must have been difficult.
Yeah, the first time I didn't really have any negative feelings coming out of it. It was a really weird situation. We were still in COVID, taking the bar online. I was taking it sitting in a camper in my brother's backyard. So I was like, okay, this is an outlier. I'm not going to let this really get to me. The second time, kind of the same. I realized, I probably shouldn't do this on my own. This is not the way people usually do this to begin with. The third time really hit me though. Coming out of that, I studied, I did just about everything that was asked of me and came out. And the whole time waiting for results, I was just, okay, I didn't do this. I can't do this. Can I do this? What am I doing here? Am I wasting my time? At that point, it's a year and a half of just studying and going at this nonstop. So it almost felt like a prison sentence sitting there waiting for results. And then to get the results and even 1 point away from passing in one of the sections. And I did nothing for me. I sat there like, okay, nope, this isn't something I can do. I just
Yeah,
completely overwhelmed.
I can totally imagine. It must have been devastating. And how do you pick yourself back up from, especially the third attempt, right? And you're 1 point
Yeah.
away.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think I did pick myself up to start. I knew this is what I needed to do to be where I wanted to be. I knew this test was the final boss standing in my way. So I kind of just hit the ground running and said, it'll come, the confidence will come. I need to get it. Like there's nothing else to do. And then as going through the material with you and you telling me that you're seeing progress when I'm not seeing progress kind of helped build up that confidence and got me to a point where, okay, I can do this if I, focus.
Let's talk about now your fourth and final time. What and the months leading up to the February 2023 exam. What are some of the things you learned throughout that experience? Now that you can look back at the successful attempt versus all the other attempts.
Um, as much as the bar is memorizing the black letter law and getting the information down, it's just as important to keep your head on, right? It's almost more mental than it is black letter law. It's the staying focus has to be the biggest part. And even when you're having you get a bad essay review back or something like that, trying to keep your head straight and like, okay, no, it's bad, but it's still better. You're still progressing, and just remembering that the whole time.
Yeah. How did you do that though? You make it sound easy and it's not easy. How did you do that?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I was just in the moment. I was really just focused on the goal at the end and knew these steps needed to be taken to get there. There's no point in stopping when you're halfway in or telling yourself you can't do it 100 times over a day. You go forward, and if somebody else is seeing progress, even if you're not, there's probably something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
So
was
what
really
are,
all the other people that kept me going.
yeah, like family and
Family and you, the support from you was insane. Like I said before, you telling me that you're seeing progress when I can't see it. And then, well, you saw my multiple choice scores. They would bounce sometimes. I'd have days where I was like, okay, I'm maybe not feeling it, or I'm not all there, and then I'd have like a 40%, and then the next day I'd have like an 80%. It
right,
just
right. Yeah.
it's a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster of emotions, but you said something so important, which is like you didn't realize that it's also a mental, like a mindset test, like that mental preparation that you also have to go through. And you did it. You did it. You kept doing the work and then you did it.
I would say I didn't realize how mental it was until about halfway through, and you were on video with me on Zoom going over the questions and just watching me type stuff out. And it's like, I know this information, but I can't get any of it on paper. I don't know what's going on right now. And then from there, we really focused on, okay, get your head right, stay clear, focus on what's important to you. Just keep your head on your shoulders. Don't let the anxiety or the stress get to you.
I remember that. I remember that I knew you knew the law, but something was blocking you. And you're right. What are some study tips that you can share with everyone that helped you for the February 2023 exam?
I think the biggest study tip is everybody's journey here is going to be a little bit different. Just because a resource works for somebody else, it's not necessarily going to work for you. That doesn't mean don't give it an honest try. Give it a couple days a week. But if it's not working, get off it and go to something new. I honestly, realizing through this whole experience with the last bar, I don't think I'd ever actually had to study in a real way. So I had to learn how I learn. And I figured out I need to write a lot. So I have probably 50 legal pads at this point of my own personal outlines, just written over and over and over again. And that was what, if I can put the information on paper that many times, it's going to come out in the test for me. And that just helped it stick. It was
Yeah.
constant writing.
So understanding how you specifically learn, how things stick for you, it was important. And exactly what you said about resources, what resources were good for you. Like there's plenty of resources out there. There's an abundance of it. And I always hear students like, oh, but my friend used X, Y, and Z and they passed and that's what I want to use. And then we go into it and it's like, well, this isn't working for you. Let's try something else. But my friend did it and they passed. And so you were open to pivoting.
Oh yeah, actually, there's a girl in my office where I work now who's taking the bar, and she came up to me and asked, "What did you use?" And I gave her a list of a couple things that I used for the MBE, and I said, "But they may not work for you, and then just keep that in mind because that took me forever to learn.
Yeah.
Just because this is going to work for most people, it may not work for you."
Right. I love that. I love that you said give it a try and then be willing to change.
You got to give it an honest try. You got to give everything an honest try.
That's great. So what do you think was the number one thing? Like if you could only pick one thing that helped you succeed on the February 2023 exam?
I knew you would ask this and I still struggled answering this. If I had to pick just one, it would have to be the times when we were, like I said, we were on Zoom and you watched me type it out and then come back a week, 2 weeks later, and I can finally do it. That was huge. It was a confidence builder. It was figuring out what the issues are and like how to go forward from there. Yeah. I really have to pair that with the lightning sessions. I have to.
Yes.
Those felt just as invaluable. Just knowing how to outline every section. You can't put a value on that.
Yeah. What both of those things have in common is that they are working under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So simulating the exam is important. All right. So what are some feelings, and you kind of touched on this, but what are some feelings that you had to overcome during this journey?
Hopelessness, maybe, no, not even maybe, inadequacy. Am I not capable or competent to do this? And a plethora of negative feelings going for that one. It'll do something for 2 years and fail at it consistently. It'll wedge itself in your brain, even if you don't want to give it room to. But the main one was just the hopelessness and the constant feeling in the back of my head is I'm not worthy. I can't do this. I'm not capable of this. That is
so common for across the board, how students feel and what I hear. And so I know that anyone who's watching this that can relate is asking, how did you overcome that? Like, what did you do when those thoughts were creeping in and all that?
I talked to family. I talked to friends. I would just talk to people that have confidence in my ability. Talking to you telling me, again, you see me improving. You see there's a certain level of consistency coming towards the end, and like just everybody around you. You use every outlet you have around you. You have people that care about you. You have people that are willing to help you. Use them. Like there's a reason they believe in you. At the end of
Yes.
the day, even if you don't, there's a reason they do.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And I also remember that you were pretty diligent about exercising. Do you think that
Oh,
helped?
yeah. No, you need it. I needed a vent to get all the extra energy out sitting in front of a computer or in here for what, 8, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
You need something. And then what was really great about that is you actually told me to record my outlines that I had written. So I could just take those with me and throw some headphones on and go to the gym or walk the dog or go for a drive and just keep the law there. Maybe not my primary focus, but some of it's seeping in through osmosis.
Right. Right. Exactly. What final message do you have for anyone taking the Florida bar exam, and especially someone who has failed before, feels hopeless, all those same things, because you we're not alone during that time. There's a lot of folks that can relate.
Oh yeah. It's okay to feel hopeless. You're going to feel anxious. Acknowledge it. It's there. Realize you don't want to be there, and then do just about anything you have to work past it, get past it. For me, it's just put your head down and go. And once you're there, don't lose confidence in yourself. And like I said before, get off the resources. If they're not working for you, switch it up. Everybody's taking the same bar exam, but the way we're going to end up adequately prepared is going to be completely different for everybody. So like I said before, just make sure you're using things that actually help you.
Oh, that is so absolutely spot on. And the one of the best qualities about you and during your studies is that you kept moving forward. You were like, I'm just going to keep going, and little by little I will get there. And sometimes with students that is overwhelming. They don't even want to take that step. They just want to get there already. But you were very good at that. You kept moving forward, and you were like, I'm going to do what it takes.
There's no shortcuts. If it's worth doing, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this. And I know that folks who are listening to this and watching this interview are so appreciative. So thank you for joining. For everyone else out there, thank you for watching. And for more resources, visit mindoverlegalmatter.com. Bye.